Hello everyone, my name is Jack. Welcome to the Duck Pond. If you like it here, feel free to stick around, hit that subscribe button, hit that little bell notification to get notified when I upload. If you want to catch me when I'm not doing videos, you can check me out on Twitch at ThatGuyJak05 on Twitch. We stream every single week, so come check us out. Today we're starting something very, very new. We're doing ship review. We're here in Star Citizen, as you can see on the beautiful planet of Orison. I've been playing Star Citizen for a while now, but I think it's my time to bring it to you guys. I'm part of a organisation called Colossus Technology. If you want to come join us, there'll be a link description down below. Also, my redeem code will be down below for anyone who's new to Star Citizen and wants to check it out. You get a little bit bonus when you use the code. Without further ado, we're going to go get straight into some ship reviews. I'm joined by V. Say hi, V.
Hello.
We're exploring the Carrick today, is that correct?
Yep.
Can you give me some information on the Carrick?
So it's in law. It's a old Navy sort of exploration / scout ship. So its function is sort of scanning, long-range scanning, and detecting transient and permanent jump points, and then sort of navigating between them. So it's all about sort of long-range, less military combat-wise, but long-range, long-duration missions.
Very interesting. Well, obviously this is yours. I'm not that rich to afford one. What kind of modifications have you done to the Carrick?
So it's quite tricky these days because of the contested zones holding most of the good modules. But I think I upgraded, so it's got higher HP pool shields, so industrial shields on it, 2 size 3 shield generators, and then just whatever the best sort of power and coolers I could get as well.
Interesting. What kind of storage capacity do they have for like SCU and vehicles?
Yeah, so the cargo bay, I can't remember how big it is, but it's separated into 3 pods at the bottom, which open individually. In future, these pods are actually supposed to deploy, and there's even talk of them replacing them with alternative pods that have other features. So for instance, the devs said that technically speaking, the pod dimensions are big enough for a Nova, so they could add in a pod that's like a little Nova garage, but also they could do pods like, base building or gathering resources of some kind, refining. They haven't really revealed too much about it, but the default is these cargo pods that just open at the side. So it's quite tricky to use for cargo because it's quite tricky to load onto these pod things here on the side. When they can deploy down and leave them behind, obviously it'd be a lot easier.
Hmm.
I think cargo holds a few hundred, like 400 and something.
So kind of like mobile hubs kind of thing, which could
Could
be
be
added in the
anything, yeah. I mean,
future.
because the idea is that there's 3 individual things that can get left behind, they could do a lot with it, but they've not really revealed too much about that yet.
Very interesting. Should we step inside and have a look around?
Sure.
I'm guessing this is the. Could you store stuff in here, or is this just a kind of like a rover bay at the front?
Yeah, so it's just Rover Bay. So again, it's one of the features that a lot of people like about the Carrack is that you don't have to choose between cargo or vehicles. So this has a dedicated Rover Bay. It's not big enough for something like a ballista or a Nova tanker or anything, but I think you can fit a Storm tank in here. But also, it's just perfectly sized for a single Ursa. But I think you can technically fit 2 as well, Ursas, if you wanted to.
So, just as we have it here, can you give us a little bit of
Yeah.
information about this and what is this and why is it bugging out? There we go.
So yeah, the Ursa. Basically, the Ursa is the ideal choice for exploration, really, because it's a long-range ground vehicle. It's not a military vehicle, really. But the Ursa has the flexibility of a bit of cargo or 4 passengers plus the pilot / co-pilot gunner seats at the front. Plus, it has lockers and things.
Is there any
So
other
exploration-wise,
variants
it's a
of
good choice.
this? Is there any
Oh, that's
other?
wigging out. So
Is there any other variants of the Ursa?
there is a Lynx variant, which is the luxury version, which replaces the rear cargo and everything with 2 seats and like champagne bottles and things and a nice view. And then there's the Ursa Medvac, which replaces the rear seats and all the lockers and things with a class 3 or tier 3 med bed.
And I'm guessing, as you showed us here before, it's kind of like a blast shield or a stopping kind of shield.
Yeah, so you can put this up to stop the, when you're loading the Ursa, reverse it in without ramming into the rear door here. Also, obviously useful if you're being boarded. You could hide behind it.
Oh yeah, gives you some protection. Very interesting. So that's the main hangar bay. What's next?
Yep. So on the ground floor, you've got an airlock here to the right.
Okay.
So this will be suit lockers eventually when they're added to the game, and then an external airlock.
Yep.
So there's not a lot
I'm
use there, but
guessing
it's
that's
good
the
for
exact
like on a
same on
moon where
the.
you got low gravity. You can jump out the airlock without having to open up the main ramp.
Oh, and there's an
And then
elevator
in
to the
here you've
side.
got the pods. So you've got the 3 cargo pods with the doors on the side, and a lift down into the pod. Like I said, it's not ideal for hauling cargo. It's not really meant to be a cargo hauler. It's meant for exploration. So here's where you'd actually be putting supplies and things, rather than, it's not going to be good at quickly offloading and unloading goods.
Okay.
Anyone who's ever tried to loot one that they've killed, like an NPC one or something, will probably have found like some single 16 SU crate or something in here that just really does not want to get out of that door, and that's pretty common.
Mhm.
Then at the back here, you've got sort of the big central elevators. This is a larger elevator that goes all the way up the ship. It doesn't go to the ground, unfortunately. Some more suit lockers. So again, because it's for exploration and longer duration, there's more suit lockers than there are crew positions. The idea being you can obviously have a variety of different things. So you might want to have, say, like the Pembroke or the Novikov environment suits, or the new Sterling radiation suits. And if you ended up on a planet and you discovered a new planet one day, then you want to have the right equipment for that. And then either side as well, you've also got quite extensive weapons locker.
Ah, very interesting. Are you ready to take your game and your grind to the next level? Then listen up, because W is here to fuel your hustle like never before. No sugar, no crash, no junk. Just clean energy, focus, and hydration, powered by carefully crafted formulas that actually work. Whether you're gaming, creating, working out, or just taking on the day, W's got your back with killer flavors like Galaxy Grenade, Dub Sludge, and Dragonade, and a whole collection waiting for you at W.GG. Why settle for overpriced energy drinks that leave you jittery and tired? W gives you everything you need and nothing you don't. Real ingredients, real results, real flavour. So don't wait. Level up today, hit up W.GG, grab your favourites and taste the energy of champions. Stay focused, stay hyped, and stay unstoppable with W Energy.
And then behind here, you've just got the aft turrets. This is a manned 2 size 4 gun under turret that can cover the rear of the ship quite effectively.
Very interesting.
So this deck here is called the sub deck. There's 4 decks in total, and this lift can service all 4 of those decks. There's a smaller lift near the front which can only do the lower 3 decks.
Okay. So this is
So
the
this
habitation
is the
deck.
habitation deck. The sort of main feature here is this quite nice central medical facility, which is a tier 2 medbed.
I'm guessing you can
So
set
there's
your
2 sort
imprint
of like
here as
recovery
well.
beds, little medical office. Hopefully, as more and more sort of storage options come along, you'll be able to store all sorts of medication and maybe even sort of food and stuff in here. And yeah, so it's again long duration, lots of storage space, and then the sort of feature of the room is this tier 2 medbed.
Okay. I'm guessing you can transfer your imprint to here, so if you
Yes.
are on a mission and you die, you can respawn at the Carrack instead of respawning all the way back to wherever you set your
Yeah,
spawn.
absolutely. So another good thing is here is there's actually a little panel you can see on the left-hand side there. That's the storage for the medical bed. Most medical beds, I don't know if people realize this, have storage either in the room or on the bed itself. So there's actually quite a nice storage area in here. So you could put, for instance, a spare undersuit, even a full set of armor. If you died in the old way when you used to lose your gear, you can get up and get going. Nowadays, you don't need so much storage, but you can still put in like spare med pens and other such things that you might have lost, spare ammunition
So yeah, like
from dying.
the decon pens and all the various of medical
Exactly.
stims that you have in the game.
Yeah, exactly.
Should we carry on?
And then these 2 little sort of recovery beds, they don't have any sort of function at the moment. We've seen in the Idris that they've made these side beds on the Idris sort of tier 3s. I don't know if they're going to do that here, or whether there's some future medical gameplay that requires you to be like in a non-medical bed. We don't know anything about them. Just sort of, they're basically ornamental at this point in time.
Obviously, we know that when you hop in the med bed, it refuels your thirst and your hunger. Do you think that that's something they would incorporate into them side beds, or?
Potentially, yeah. I mean, like I said, on the Idris, they put in an extra recovery room, and all of those beds are tier 3, so that's an option they could do, and that would obviously have that same effect. And if you've got multiple people are injured, but only one of them's got a tier 2 injury, you don't need to queue up, because we've had that in the past where there's been like 5 or 6 of us on a Carrack doing something, and 3 people get an injury, and there's a queue. Basically, you start waiting.
What's through the store here? Or is this just a detail?
So that's the ladder. So currently you can use the ladder to get from the sub deck to the technical deck above.
Okay.
You can drop down from here if you get over that barrier. There's people who've been complaining about it. I think that barrier's there because the way ladders work in the game at the moment, it is a fixed entry point to the ladder and a fixed exit point on the ladder. So you can't use the ladder in the middle of it to go up or down at the moment.
And that takes you down to the
Subdeck, just
sub
by
deck, yeah.
it's the door in the vehicle garage at the front.
Okay. Very interesting.
And then
Ooh.
so here on the right hand side here, you've got a futuristic non-regulation pool table.
Ah. Oh yes. Yes.
I guess they decided it was too difficult or too hard as a rectangle. And then you've got the bunk room. So again, lots of storage in here. A locker for each bunk, a bunk for each crew member, except for the captain who's got his own accommodation, and then a shower room, bathroom at the back.
Oh, very interesting. And there's only one way in and one way out of the bunks, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So again, in the future, we're hoping that it used to be that you could actually bedlog on other people's ships, and so you could all bedlog, and as long as the owner of the ship logged in first, the ship would come back and you'd wake up in the bed. So we're hoping that will come back at some point in the future. And again, if they start adding more solar systems and things, you could end up on a long duration, and you could say, oh, we'll just go to bed and we'll pick up next time we're all on, kind of thing. And then yeah, there's another little bathroom area here.
Very interesting.
And then on the other side is the sort of eating/meeting room.
Okay.
And again, so there's no real function to this at this point in time, other than you could sit and have a meeting. But they have revealed quite recently that they do intend some functionality in these sort of little kitchens that they've got on there, where you can go and grab food. So rather than having to buy all the pre-made snack bars and MREs, you'll be able to actually just interact with these consoles and get food out.
Very interesting. Do you
How
think
that'll work, I don't know. I'm sure they'll make us pay in some way or fashion to have that
restock? Yeah.
feature. Yeah.
Do you think Star Citizen will have a feature where you can kind of collect herbs and kind of meat and stuff from planets and actually
100%, yeah. So it's not confirmed for version 1.0, but there is already confirmed a ship that can grow crops. Whether that's for drugs or food or both isn't clear. But then also we're talking about building bases very soon as well. So there's a concept already mentioned there about farming of some variety, and again whether that's food or drugs or both isn't confirmed or clear just yet. But I'm pretty sure that's exactly what they'll do.
talking about, sorry, before we continue on to this bit, talking about, you said you about the ability to build bases and habs and stuff. Would that replace the virtual hangar? So like when you build a hab, it's local to you, so when you disconnect, that hab isn't there, or would it be a persistent hab?
So it would be persistent. They've talked about all the structures as being persistent. They've actually talked about it being persistent by region, so not by shard. So if we're on, say, the European region, if someone goes onto a planet and builds, they basically claim an area of the planet and they build on it, whether it's just a little hut that they can log off in, or whether it's this big sprawling manufacturing, defensive, military, whatever, that will be there for everybody. And then obviously the game mechanics are going to be in such a way that it's very difficult for you to destroy that. You could potentially attack it. It's going to be very difficult to attack it from the air, but it is going to be possible to attack it from the ground, and it's going to be very easy for you to defend it, really. So you'll be able to have defensive structures that are automated, and obviously there'll be alerts and things and shields and all sorts of different things that means it's not going to be something that, like, oh, I'm going to log off like Rust and you come back to a smoldering ruin, wasting all of your organization's last 6 months of effort. It'll be much more secure than those sorts of games, but it will be a permanent structure that is vulnerable to other people.
And do you know if these hubs will have like outposts and hangars have currently places where you can spawn your ships throughout the
Yeah,
organization? Okay.
100%. There'll be the ability to manufacture ships. We know for a fact that the space station will be able to build the absolute biggest of ships, including the Bengal carrier. How big we'll be able to build on the ground isn't clear, but there is the Pioneer, which will be able to build sort of small hangar type stuff. I think they demoed it building something like maybe the size of a Spirit, a C1. So that's sort of medium size, like a Cutlass, that sort of thing. So that's on a Pioneer. So you could imagine that on a ground facility, it won't be a Bengal carrier, but it will be bigger than what the Pioneer can build. So certainly any ground vehicle will be buildable on a ground base, and quite likely things up to and including sort of large hangar and maybe even extra large hangar size ships.
Very interesting. And where are we standing right now?
So this is the captain's office. Again, not a lot of functionality in here. There's a fully functional chessboard on the side there, in case people want to have a game of chess.
It is very, very interactive. Oh, that's very. So you can actually carry the whole.
Yep, you can carry the board, put it down, and then you can pick up the individual pieces and place them onto the game.
That's pretty interesting.
And then there's captain's quarters in here, so just another locker for the captain, a separate bathroom, bed, etc.
Very nice.
And of course, no ship's complete without a teddy bear for the captain to
What have you
snuggle on.
named the teddy bear?
I haven't named him yet, to be honest.
I think that should be a job for chat there, the comment section there. To name this teddy bear, we will pick the best name for this teddy bear, and we will name him.
Yep, so that's the sort of accommodation, captain's area and everything,
Oh,
and then the only
two
other thing on this
bears.
deck is the lower bridge.
Lower bridge. Oh, so
So
there's
this
two
is
bridges.
effectively the main bridge. It's got the sort of primary pilot seat and then these two co-pilot seats. But as you can sort of see from the glass here, it actually continues upwards as well. There's a second bridge above.
Very interesting. Should we make our way
One of
up?
the features they've added fairly recently, if I can find the interaction point, is this was teased when they first concepted the ship as to have these deployable armor panels, and they recently added them to the game.
Very interesting. Oh, so it cuts your view down, but it also provides further safety. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, so again, the intention of the game is to actually have some realistic simulation of the projectile rounds and things. So, you know, I'm sure this isn't glass. I'm sure this is some sort of transparent metal of some kind or whatever, something futuristic. But at the same time, a big metal plate is going to have more protection again. So when they have realistically simulated rounds, you know, you the pilot in this very exposed glass canopy. Yeah, the bit of extra metal is going to be good if you're in a combat situation.
Very interesting.
There's a few sort of modules and things on here, but largely these aren't in use just yet. So there's like these panels here. There's one that you're stood on there, and one on the side, and then there's components in here. Most of these don't function, and fuses as well. Though.
And I'm guessing this will
We'll
be
start
more
to see-
functional when we have the engineering update in, where you
Exactly,
don't have to repair certain modules in certain locations to get this ship running again.
Yeah, exactly. So I believe this is the radar and a fuse console, I should say. Yeah, radar on the front there. So if when engineering comes and the radar goes down, that's where you'd go to fix it.
Very interesting. Shall we make our way upstairs?
Sure. This is the quick elevator to the upper bridge. So the main feature here in terms of current functionality is this seat on the right hand side, which is for the remote turret, the one and only remote turret for the ship. The remote turret's on top towards the rear, so that's the seat you'd use for that. And then this sort of standing desk, treadmill looking thing console here, it's an alternate pilot's control. The caveat is you can only use it to like essentially move the ship. You can't go into quantum mode, your nav mode. You can't quantum travel with it, but you can use it to obviously actually fly around, and it does give you quite a decent view. You know, because it's protruding out from this higher position, you can see quite well whilst flying and landing and things. So it does give you that option.
A perfect 180 of your surroundings when you're coming in for a docking or.
Yeah, exactly. But like I said, you can't nav with it and stuff. Like I've actually in the past been trying to move this ship solo, and literally been attacked whilst I was on my way through here, and so I've used this standing desk thing to get away, and then I've basically jumped out, jumped down, got into the pilot seat to get onto nav, and I survived whilst doing that, so I can attest to it being functional. But it's obviously not as good as sitting in the pilot seat.
Very interesting. And I'm guessing this would this be functional in the future?
Yes, so there's a couple of things that we know about this already. One is that in the future, in sort of fleet engagements, the will be an option for like a fleet commander type role where someone can see, who's in the fleet and who's the enemies and the signals and things and direct. But because this is mostly about exploration, this particular one is probably more about, for instance, scanning a planet or scanning an area of space. Like I said, the main function for the scanner on this ship is actually finding jump points, transient jump points. So it's not in the game yet, but that function obviously doesn't exist yet, and also the scanner doesn't exist. This ship actually has extra deployable scanning antenna on the sides, which we'll hopefully receive in a future update, and somehow they'll play a role in finding transient jump points.
Very interesting.
We've got the escape pods.
Oh god, I got closed on by the door.
Another thing that hopefully coming soon is this little engineering room. So this will be what looks like a 3D printer and a desk. So hopefully we'll be able to repair something or other in here. Again, it's not been revealed to us yet how this will work.
Very interesting.
But once again, it speaks to the sort of long range of having to repair rather than replace anything that breaks.
Very interesting. And what's this down here on the left? Is that just detail or?
So this is the drone room, and again, not a lot of info about how these work, what they're for, just that we're getting them. But yeah, so there's like a little control seat here, so it does sort of imply that you can operate the drones remotely. There's one on each side and two little sort of drone bays in the middle of the room.
Very interesting. Now, will these be combative drones? Do you think, or research or
No, I
scanning?
think it'll play up to the exploration role. So one of the things that we do know is that there's transient jump points. So the idea is that you've got these stable jump points that we currently use to say go to Pyro or back. But in the future, if you're a criminal and you're coming from Pyro into Stanton, if you use the regular jump point, you'll be very quickly recognized as a criminal. There could be players there who who would have a database of criminals, and they'll scan you and go, "Oh, it's that guy. He's a criminal," and they'll instantly attack you. And then also it could be that like there's actual NPCs there are doing the same thing. So criminals will actually have a hard time using those jump points. And the way around that is there's going to be these things called transient jump points. These are temporary jump points that you have to find, activate, and go through. And the original concept for that, and then also for the concept of finding brand new permanent jump points that is hopefully going to be in the game eventually, is that the first sort of person to go through is it's one thing to find it. You also have to navigate the optimal route through it, so you're not going to smash into the sides and end up in the middle of nowhere. And so it's possible that the drones are for actually transiting through the jump points the first time and finding information, or it's possible that the drones are more likely like, oh, here's a planet, we don't know what the surface is like, we can send a drone down and it can relay information. So that's the kind of thing that people think the drones are for, but there's not been a lot of confirmation on that in the past.
Very interesting. I guess also if you have exterior damage, you can also get repair drones that you can manually pilot to fix possible external extremities. Like if your turrets go down, you can use a drone to repair your turret on the external instead of having to EVA out into space and do it yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there are other drones that have been confirmed. Some of them have more information. Like we know there's a medical drone, which is like a sort of stretcher for the Apollo, so it can go pick people up and bring them to the Apollo. We know that there is refueling and repair drones coming with another ship. So how, if we'll be able to like, if it's like a size of drone or a type of drone, or you'll be able to actually say, oh, I want to use this drone on this ship, and we don't really know. It might be that the ships that have drones have just got that's its drones, this is all it can use, you can just replace them and fix them, and that would obviously limit the functionality ship to ship. Or it might be that, yeah, you literally just have a drone bay, it can fit these drones in it, and you can pick what those drones are capable of.
But just by looking here, it looks like you have a capacity to hold 6. By the size of the bays and the mag locks on the top, it looks like you can hold 4 in reserve and 2 in the bay. Is that correct?
Yeah, again, it's all speculation. There's clearly these bays on the side here. I don't even think they represent anywhere externally either. But yeah, there's clearly some stuff in the ceiling to hold spares and move them around.
Very interesting.
Yeah, a lot of people looking forward to that, especially people, I guess, who've played EVE Online, probably really looking forward to the drone concept. So then we get to the sort of main feature of this deck, which is the hangar bay. So this is a bespoke hangar bay. You can fit a lot of other things in here, but it's because of its height and dimensions, it's not considered like a small hangar bay. If someone says, "Oh, that's a small hangar," that means it can fit any ship that you can spawn from a small hangar. This is not that. This is a bespoke one. It's specifically designed for this ship in here, which is the Pisces. But obviously, you could put anything else that could fit. Will obviously happily go in here. But for instance, something like on the Idris, you can just about land an Eclipse, for instance, and that might be considered a small ship. No chance of getting that in here.
Okay. Can we go look
But
around
the
the
Pisces
base?
again. So the Pisces is considered a pathfinder. That's what its type of craft is. It used to have a very big quantum fuel tank, but they reduced it. So obviously now it does suit the idea of being carried somewhere and then deployed. And again, you're in that scenario where you could take it to go down onto a planet that you may have just discovered, for instance, or a moon, or perhaps you could take it through a transient or a newly discovered jump point, and it would, map the route out for you. It's a very versatile little ship as the Pisces. It's very well designed considering its size. Not particularly tough, but this is the exploration version, so it's got 4 size 1 guns and a couple of size 1 missiles. It's also got a little bit of a cargo bay and pilot seat and 2 jump seats.
Very interesting. And I know there's a few other variants for this. What are the other variants?
Yeah, so there's the standard Pisces, which drops 2 of the guns, but otherwise is virtually identical to this. It's just got the 2 size 1s. And then there's the Pisces Rescue, which is the medical version. So again, that's a tier 3 med bed. Obviously, it drops a lot of the cargo bay. All that goes away. One of the best things about the medical, and one of the reasons why people like it, is that it actually comes with a little drinks cabinet that's stocked up, so people can take med pens and things out of it, which is quite helpful.
Very interesting.
Yeah, so this here is the lift that we used before, so that's the central area of the ship. And then behind, we've got the turret axis, so this is mirrored on each side. There's a manned turret on each side of the ship.
Very interesting.
Then you've got sort of an engineer's office, I guess, so it's a station where the engineer can look into the engine room.
Diagnostics and...
Yeah, so that'll be an engineering terminal when that comes online very shortly. And then into the engineering area. So this is where most of the components actually are. So this is again across 2 decks. You can go down. The ladders, I don't know why, this is a recent development where the ladder's like the wrong way around, but it's invisible. I don't understand what's going on.
Very interesting.
But in here, you should have, if I can open them, basically all of the components. So with size 3 components, of which the Carrack has all size 3 components, they can't be physically removed. I mean, they're basically too big to fit through the doors and things. So the only way that in the future to change them and remove them would be in some sort of dry dock scenario. But again, because this is long-range exploration, it's got 2 of each components for some redundancy, and then also you can repair these components from in here when engineering comes online.
Very interesting.
Hopefully the next few months.
So I see we got, what, shield generators down here? And another
Yeah, so there should be
radar
2 shield generators. I think actually
platform.
they recently changed it to 2 power, 2 shield, 2 coolers, but I'm not sure they're all actually represented. In fact, that says it's a radar, but we've already seen it as a radar on the bridge, so I don't know if there's 2 of those or what's going on there.